Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Saco School Board meeting for Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025 at 5 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order with recognition of all school board members present with the addition of Superintendent Ray. And would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you very much. And moving on to item 3 this evening, that is the approval of the school board meeting minutes dated October 8th, 2025. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor,
School Board Member Truman.
I move we approve the school board meeting minutes dated October 8th, 2025.
Thank you very much. Is there a second? School Board Member Johnston.
Second.
Any discussion or comment on the minutes? Okay, roll call vote. School Board Member Warnoff.
Yes.
School Board Member Preble.
Yes.
School Board Member Richards.
Yes.
School Board Member Roach.
Yes.
School Board Member Kidder.
Yes.
School Board Member Truman.
Yes.
And School Board Member Johnston.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Okay, moving on to item 4, there are no adjustments to the agenda this evening. Item 5, there are no correspondence. Moving on to item number 6, that is public session. If there are any members of the public wishing to speak, please step forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to address the school board. Okay, not seeing any members seeking recognition. Moving on to item number 7, that is the superintendent's report. Superintendent Ray?
All right, good evening, everybody. First and foremost, we were hoping that tonight we would have been announcing the bid for the school building project, but yesterday midday, a couple of subcontractors had asked for an extension, and we granted them a week extension because we want to get the best price possible. So same time, 2 p.m., same place, this room, next Wednesday, we will be opening envelopes. No fingers crossed, because we're done, Sarah. We told them we're done, last extension, so we're excited about that piece. Just want to highlight a couple of things that are going on. You may have seen on Facebook from a nice ad that the middle school put out, but Saco Middle School's physical education teacher, Ryan Martin, a 2-time Guinness World Book record holder, will host a record-breaking night on November 10th at 6:30, where he'll attempt to set a new record for the most high school three-pointers made in 1 hour. This is a free community event featuring Smoking Dad's Barbecues. Don't own that. I don't know who does, but great name. And the benefits are going to go to the SMS Mentor Program. So there's a nice video out there, and also it's just, kind of a great message from kids like, okay, here's a goal, I'm going to try to achieve it. It's okay to fail, we'll try again. So it should be a great thing. SMS on Friday the 24th will hold their annual Community Kindness Day. More than 700 students and staff volunteering across the community at sites including Seeds of Hope, Saco Parks and Rec, Saco Food Pantry. Students are seeking pledges and hoping to raise upwards of $10,000. C.K. Burns Unified Soccer Round Robin. C.K. Burns will host a unified soccer round robin on Friday the 24th from 12 to 1 on the back fields to celebrate the conclusion of a successful season. Their 22-member team will welcome 12 students from Old Orchard Beach for a friendly game. So please come out if you have a chance to cheer on the athletes. Pre-Ks, they've been awarded a $1,000 grant from the Maine Agriculture in the Classroom Education Grant. So congratulations to them. This week was National School Bus Safety Week, and we were able to put on a barbecue lunch for our transportation staff like we have every year. They play such a crucial role in guaranteeing that our kids make it to and from school safely. And then I just have a bunch of different thank yous. The first one is for the Saco PD Resource Officer. for collaborating with administrators at burn schools. We don't have dedicated elementary resource officers this year, and we appreciate the officers' willingness to consult on safety. Thank the Saco Fire Department for visiting the schools this month to teach students about fire prevention safety. A thank you to the Fairfield PTO for organizing Fairfield Schools Family Night, which provided free pizza and entertainment. Thank you to Sweets and Company for donating $1,000 to the Fairfield School Food Pantry, and the Saco Biddeford's Elks Lodge for their donation of a couple $1,000s worth of food. And thank you to Leary Farms for donating pumpkins to students who otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to purchase one and carve them for Halloween.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments for the superintendent? Okay, and I do believe that the SMS Kindness Day, they are coming to City Hall again this year as well. Okay, moving on to item number 8, that is the chair's report. Chair Preble?
I have nothing new to report this evening.
Okay, great, thank you. Moving on to item number 9, that is staff reports, and we do have an item on this agenda tonight, and that is the someday analysis. And I believe we'll start out with Meg, and with us tonight we have Allison Desjardins from Fairfield School, Adele Lawler from Young School, Suzanne Ray from C.K. Burns, and Christy Berube from Saco Middle.
Thank you. So tonight, our resiliency coordinators wanted to share with you some of the work that they do that is really only a portion of their work. What you might not hear as much about this evening is some of the work they do behind the scenes in terms of attendance, truancy, support for families in need, whether that be clothing, food backpack programs, connections with other community resources. Last week or 2 weeks ago, when we spoke at school board about some of our curriculum design teams, we really focused on the traditional academic areas in which we have teams of teaching staff working to evaluate and recommend curricular resources for those core areas. And tonight you'll have an opportunity to hear about the Someday experience, which is kind of the portion of the resiliency coordinator job that touches every student within that building. And with that said, I will turn it over to our resiliency coordinators.
Came today to just share a little bit about.
Yep, you just want to pull the mic down a little bit closer to your mouth.
Okay, but I can, but I'm going to come back up in a second.
All
But a
right,
couple
thank you.
parents actually came today just to speak a little bit about their experiences for their children. And on the slides here, there's a couple testimonials from parents who had wanted to share but weren't able to come tonight.
Good evening. I'm Chris Talbot on 6 Chelsea Circle. My daughter is currently a student over at Fairfield School. And I've been able to see the program work very well for the kids in both Young School and Fairfield School so far. One thing that has always struck me is that all of these kids get to be special for a day. They get to choose something that they want, something that's personal, meaningful for them, and they get the opportunity to have it come true. I was very honored in that during our kindergarten year, my daughter chose to have my wife and I come in and have lunch with her, to bring in some hot dogs from Rapid Rays, be able to meet in the principal's office for a little lunch while her classmates were having their regular lunch in the cafeteria, and get a chance to just make her day. It really helped put her in a great position. The next year, she wanted to spend that same opportunity to bring her cousin in, the same age as her, coming from Biddeford. And it was just so special to see her welcome her cousin at her school, get to share with her who her friends were, get a chance to go out on the playground with her for 20 minutes, and then be able to help bring her cousin back to her school in Biddeford. But those little things just give an opportunity for a kid to feel special, to feel heard, and to have their dream come true has been the world for her. So thank you very much for the program, and I hope it continues.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kelsey Gallant, and I live at 1 Fige Drive. My son is a second grader at Young School, so I've had the opportunity to witness him getting 2 wishes through this program so far. Kindergarten Wish was probably one of my favorite in all time, and I'll try not to cry while talking about it, but we have a blended family, my husband and I, and so while he was in kindergarten, we had a high schooler, and since pre-K has started, we've always heard about how he wanted his brother to be in his class. Well, obviously, when you have a 10-year age difference, you know, that's definitely not gonna happen. But they got to spend the entire day together in his kindergarten class, have lunch together, show off his friends at recess. And 2 years later, they still talk about it every night at dinner time. I don't think anything will ever top it. Last year, he was part of the class that had the teacher who went out on maternity leave, and that was pretty difficult for a first grader, and trying to explain that. They got an incredible new substitute during that situation, but he really connected with another teacher, and he was able to get a wish of being a part of her classroom for the day, just to, you know, be a part of her class and understand how she is when they're just not experiencing just recess with another teacher. So that was really cool. Every day he, you know, struggled with wanting to go to school and learning new personalities, and that connection was really nice to have. It's really nice to see. I'm also the PTO president at Young School, and to be able to go in the building and see the joy on the kids' faces, and to see the emails that come home with, you know, from the principals' newsletters, and, you know, the someday reports that show, you know, a lot of their requests are super simple. And, you know, not that we can't get bounce houses at home, some parents can't do some of those things. And these opportunities, these kids live for. And these teachers work so hard with organizing, I shouldn't just say teachers, they have other roles, but they work so hard with organizing this stuff, and they do a very good job at making sure that it's done efficiently. So like when we do certain things at the school, they compile it to make it like multiple people some days, so, you know, they're getting their bang for their buck and really making these kids feel really appreciated and seen. And some of these kids don't have the best home life, and this really makes a difference in their lives. There was another parent who asked me to read their letter. Her name is Melissa Lavoie, and she lives at 30 Hillview Ave. And she said, "Dear school board members, my name is Melissa Lavoie. My children attend Young School. They're in kindergarten and the first grade. I wanted to take a second and share my experience with you regarding the Some Days. I did not learn about the Some Days until my eldest was in kindergarten, and my daughter has come home every day talking about them. She truly enjoys the excitement that her and her friends share and are able to experience with these. Once she understood what the Some Days were, that was so exciting to her, and it meant so much. And then it happened, her someday. She asked to play in a bounce house. She was so tickled pink that hers was granted. Then the domino effect happened. She couldn't wait for next year's, and she thought long and hard for months, and her father and I were able to go into the school and have an extra recess and play with her. She was so excited, and that was it. It was this Friday. Now it's my youngest turn. She had hers earlier this week, and she simply asked for an extra recess. She was able to take her best friend with her, and they played outside. When I picked her up from school, she was so excited that her someday wish was granted, and that I've heard about it now for a couple days. I tell you this, to show you how important and meaningful these somedays are. The kids are asking for the smallest, easiest things, and they are the things that are bringing them so much joy to their educational career at Young School. Some children aren't fortunate enough to have or be able to do some of these things that other kids can. Some kids struggle with school. They struggle with even liking school or even being there. But when given something as simple as a someday, they make their time at school that much better. It's given them something to look forward to, and it also excites them to see how their classmates some days are. It's nice to see and know that someone's thinking of them. The staff at Young School work very hard to grant these kiddos wishes, and I am so thankful that they even thought of the idea. It really does take a village to raise these children, and this school is a big part of that village. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the staff at Young School for working so hard to make these children some days a reality. And I think it just really goes to show like how hard they do work, and I really hope that you read the principals' newsletters and see how big of an impact it does have on the children's faces, and we hope the program can continue. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, so today we're just going to kind of share some of the data. We've been doing the Someday program for a bit now. This is our 5th year for the elementary schools, and SMS started a little after us, so we're going to be sharing mostly information from the elementary schools. So the analysis here is from 2 school years, 2023 to 2024 and 2024 to 2025. And there were 2,403 student requests as part of this analysis. So the key finding is that 37.6% of the requests involve bringing beloved people or animals to school, which really hits on that piece where the some days really do focus on that relationship piece that we have with the students and that we really value within our schools. And our budget currently for this program is $10 per student annually. So here we have just a kind of overview of the rankings of the most requested activities K through 5, with family member visits being the highest ranked, and with that happening primarily at the K2 level, with Young School having the highest number of that. Animal visits are next, party in 3rd grade, parties and celebrations at Fairfield, extra recess playtime at Young, and slime making in 3rd. And those are all activities that are often requested at all of the schools quite often. So at Young School, through the analysis, really, as was just spoken to, that family focus piece is huge. There are such a variety of requests at Young School, but really most of them connect back to family, whether it's to parents or siblings or cousins. Kiddos at Young School just really love having their families involved in their some days in some way. Lots of times it's super simple, and it's having a family member or a group from their family come in for a lunch, and sometimes it has to do with having them join them in an activity or come into their classrooms. And then extra recess and play is huge. The little kindergartner who was just being referenced did have her someday earlier this week, and the thing that stood out to me most was just the pure joy and excitement in her face and her friends, and just like those really like wholehearted, you know, belly laughs and giggles. Like it was so simple. The 2 of them just wanted to go out on the playground and play together. And to many of us, we would think, oh, that's something like they could do every day, but that was just, they were thrilled and so happy the whole time, which is awesome. And then, of course, young kiddos love movement and love sensory experiences, so bounce houses and slime making are some of the tops, but also there's lots of requests for other things. Some are more elaborate, but they're all experiential. And I think that's really important to note too, as the kids are really focusing on those quality experiences where they can share it with others. And the unique part is that they are being able to really use their own independent voices for all of these wishes. So at the beginning of every year, the kiddos have an opportunity to have a little mini lesson on some days and explain what they are, especially for the kindergartners. And then they use their own voice, and they get to have that feeling of empowerment and of that choice where they make their own wish that they can trust is granted. And it really, it makes a difference. They look forward to it. They look forward to each other's. And from this data, we can see that not only should we focus on that the family ties are so important, but then it can help inform us to continue to build those connections, collaborate with our PTOs, bring more of those opportunities into our classrooms for kiddos to experience family connections, friend and sibling connections, time to play and be children and think creatively, and time to move their bodies and connect to the materials around them.
Hi, Hi, I'm Allison from Fairfield School. Looking at the data, it's apparent that Fairfield students love a good party. 27% parties and celebrations. And although it seems frivolous, and it's really not. These celebrations bring the kids together. They make social connections. A child could be having a horrible day. They could be struggling in the classroom. They could be a new student moving in the middle of the year. And they have a someday that includes the whole class. And they're a rock star for that time, and hopefully from the time beyond. But it really connects them, and we make a point of making sure we tell the other students, like, they chose to have this party. They could have done a someday on their own, but they chose to include the entire classroom. Make sure you thank them. And there's just so much positive energy. Family visits are also very high on, we have lots of requests for parents to come in and have lunch with the students. Sometimes they want their parents to go in the cafeteria. They just want to show off their family. Sometimes they want a private lunch. A lot of siblings come over to visit. Special lunches with teachers from previous years, whether it's at our own school, whether it's at Burns. You know, they want to keep those connections. I've had some request lunches with pre-K teachers. So extra recesses, which every time we go out, it's just, even though it's an extra recess and you think, you know, it's not a huge deal, the kids love it and they're all yelling and screaming and jumping, and it's just, it's a great thing to witness. And then the slime never gets old. They love it. So the monthly themes, it says invest in monthly theme celebrations. I have helped facilitate Pokemon parties, Lego parties, dance parties, unicorn parties, glitter parties. I had a girl ask for a party with pink hearts, and I said, you mean Valentine's Day? And she goes, no, just a party with pink hearts. And we make it happen. So they can trust that this is going to happen for them. So, and we get community involved. We've had community members donate pizzas, and members of the community come in, scientists, and, you know, and facilitate a someday for those kids. So it's a very impressive, positive program, and I could stand up here and talk all night about it, but I won't, so thank you.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Ray from CK Barnes School. So we're 3rd through 5th grade students. We're starting to see, we still have that family visit focus. And then animal visits is really big amongst really all grades. 3rd grade is the highest. And at Barnes School, we do allow families to bring their pets in if the family feels like it's be an environment that would be safe for that their pet will be okay there, and the kids absolutely love it. I think one of the great things about animals is it just brings a calm to everybody, and so we've had dogs, cats, bunnies, lizards, snakes, you name it. They've all come to CK Barnes School, and it's really just cool to see that the kids, like, animals bring like that sense of calm, and they just. And we have a dog at our school as well, a school dog that we're looking to integrate more into the school as well. So you also see the trend of the friends as they're including family more in 3rd grade. It gets a little bit lower in 5th, and then in 3rd grade, not as much friend-based as you get up to 5th grade, and that's just goes with your trend of that moving into the middle school and gaining more independence. Slime is always popular, just like the other 2 schools. Our 5th graders really get more into that sports and games, and I know the middle school sees that too as well. And then the leadership roles. And the really cool thing about our Someday program is where it is the kids get to pick what they want, and it's not a prescribed, you pick, you know, check this. Like, they come up with their own ideas, and we have so many cool things that have happened at Burns School that have actually become parts of our school that have stayed. So one of our first years, we had a student that wanted salad for lunch, and the lunch program had a salad day, but then after that, they said, you know, this is a great idea, and now our kids have that option 2 days a week that they get to pick salads, and that came from a Someday. We had a 5th grade student that wanted to have some sort of like special celebration for 5th grade, and we started our 5th grade clap out. And we've done that the last 2 years, where the whole school lines the hallways, and the 5th graders get to feel really special walking through while everyone's cheering them on. And, you know, some kids just wanted to, last year, someone wanted to be the front of the clap out. And that's a tradition that we now have at Burns School, which is really awesome. And it builds school community and coming together. So I'm so thankful that you all have supported us to be able to provide these opportunities for kids, because one of our first slides talked about just how these are a bridge to academics. When kids feel safe, they feel heard, they feel cared for, they build relationships, and they feel connected, that's when now they can learn. Because if we don't have that piece, then it's really hard for them to feel like they can be there and ready to learn. The slide is really just kind of focusing on that animal interest, which I already talked about. And as a matter of fact, today during some of our PD time, I worked with our speech therapist who has our dog Getty, and I'm working to be trained so that I can also go around and be one of Getty's handlers. So he'll be able to be out in the school a little bit more, which is exciting. The kids love having that. It's just that animal connection is so important at this age. And any age, we all love animals, right? So we just wanted to kind of end with this quote: "This is the best day ever," said by hundreds of Saco school students. When they have their Someday, we hear it all the time. This is the best day ever. And we hear it when it's not their Someday too. Like, I had a kid in 5th grade the other day wanted to make eggs and toast for his class. And he was making the eggs, and we were making toast, and all his class, he shared that with his whole class. And some of the kids were like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best Someday ever." You know, and they were like, I wasn't even sure I'd like this, but I love this. I want to do this for my own. So it's just, and it generates community, and it generates that feeling of like being included and building relationships. And so thank you for allowing us to be a part of that, granting these wishes to kids every day.
Great, thank you. I will say that I was not aware of the program until, I think it was last year, and there was a brother and sister at Burns who, within their family, were race car drivers, and they brought the car, the family brought their little race car that they had, and the kids, and I happened to be right in the area, so I was able to stop by and see it and meet them and talk to them. And like I said, it's not just the kids whose day it is, it's the kids around them as well. You know, it's this, they've never seen one. It was so awesome, and they got to hear stories. And so, yeah, I actually got a chance, and it was the first time I had heard and learned about the program. So thank you guys for all you do, because it really is great. Any questions or other comments for any of the resource officers? School Board Member Truman?
I just want to say there was a lot of talk about, I hope we keep this program, and I hope it never goes away. I'm looking at you just to make sure. You're like, why am I looking at me? My kids have had the best experiences with this. We brought the cat in last year for 3rd grade, just to fit the bill. We've had the Pokemon parties all day, the whole school recess. That one, I was like, that's a tall order, and then you guys made it happen. So anyway, I am a huge supporter of the program, and if for whatever reason it wasn't going to be possible, I would have a conversation with someone. But I know he's a full supporter too, so.
Well, I think it's, you know, just as I've said before, again, for my daughter, that is definitely something I remember is her some days. And again, the time that she wanted to be the lunch lady with Dawn's wife, like, that was the best. And she brought friends, and that was like just a great experience. And then, you know, she became obsessed with Hoops for Hope. And, you know, her bake sale last year was, what did they have, like $1,400 raising for Hoops for Hopes or whatever it was. Great, you know? But I don't think we'll forget those, just like you won't forget your experience that you had with your children in schools. And I think the other best pieces are the things like the unique interest that they have in their family that may not be something they see every day, that the family can share and allow that relationship with the school to become stronger.
I also just want to add too, in response to what Jody said about the family with the race cars, I know the family, and my kids came home knowing that these kids race cars, and they came home and they were just talking about it all night long, like, oh, so even if they did know it, like, kudos for making it happen. Like, that was great.
Right, being able to see it and touch it and experience, yeah. Okay, great, thank you very much. Oh, School Board Member Roach?
Well, first, a quick question. Did it start in middle school, too? Is it?
Yeah, so our middle school is a year behind in terms of bringing a resiliency coordinator on, so we don't have the long-term data. The way we've done it there, just because of the structure of like a daily schedule, is that the 6th and 7th graders have an advisory someday, so their entire advisory works together to kind of propose and enact something, and then our 8th graders each get an individual someday. So that started last year. So at the conclusion of this year, we'll then have 2 years of data regarding those some days to be able to share a little bit more.
First off, big thank you for this presentation. Part of my interest in this was to kind of switch the mood of what's happened the last couple weeks and talk about something more hopeful and enlightening and benefits the schools and the community. So thank you for putting that together. Also, I was just off the Finance Committee meeting where, there was a time, 4 or 5 years ago that we didn't have money, resources to even consider programs like this. So, so credit to the superintendent and staff and administration for turning the schools around here to be able to start this going on year 5 now. A couple of questions that might be directed to the superintendent, but if anyone could bring up. Brought up in the presentation, we brought up a lot of benefits, individual stories, and the general classroom, school, just loving what's going on. But on the analysis, in terms of like, okay, how are we macro-wise improving, school, mentioned academic performance, behavioral, attendance. I just want to know if, like, this year, with these many years behind us, I know many other factors come into play, right? Many other factors. So you can't just, say, okay, this program resulted in this or that. But are there ways to get data points, towards like the end of the year of these last 4 years, especially for the kids that might, the poverty level might be high, the behavior issues might be high. Is there any sense of tracking for that?
Well, I think one of the things you can do is look at overall school achievement, because I guess I'm going to say that everything affects everything. just as much as someday is as important as in math instruction to the programs that we create, to the fact, do we have a bus driver who actually can arrive to pick up a kid? Because we've had times where just having enough bus drivers has been a real challenge for us. And when a kid shows up late, we know some of those things. So my first comment, Kevin, is everything affects everything. And so I think you have to look at the positives that are happening as the entire system and moving forward. Could we work with our staff and with Meg to find some situations, probably that are more specific based off a snapshot of students? And let me give an example that I know. Student X has trouble coming to school. A someday triggers a relationship build or something you know about a student that says, hey, I want to have my cat come to school. And that gets them there. And then you work with the family to say, hey, you know what, if we can come 10 consecutive days, maybe I can have a cat show up at school. So I think there are some of those things that are on an individual level that lead to, we know that if kids are not in school, they're not gaining instruction. I suspect there's behavioral instances just like that. Just that the attendance piece, the behavioral piece, and sometimes it's the someday that gets the conversation going with the family, that allows the foot in the door, whether it be for the resiliency coordinator, the principal, the guidance counselor, to talk about a different issue that may be going on because you had a positive experience to build upon. One of the things I always felt like when I was an elementary principal, I felt it was very tough, is that typically the principal or guidance staff, a lot of times we were calling home to start that conversation with something that we needed to change or improve, and never had that jumping off point to be like, oh, Sarah, you're hearing from me again this morning because you're late, your kid was, is 37 tardies. That's not the way. This helps build that relationships and becomes a trusted voice in the school out with the some days. It also, when you think about our resiliency coordinators, and we talk about some days being like that small piece, it's all of the work that they do, from food insecurities on top of that, to clothing, to rides, to making sure that kids have, a lot of this is a jumping off point for that. So they may have a whole different answer than what I came up with, and we can think about that piece, and I'd want to involve principals in that discussion. We certainly can look in that and bring something back.
I was just going to add that when we come to the next meeting, we will look at NWEA data, and that I prepared that presentation this week, so there is some positive trending in both math and reading. Again, it's hard to draw a really straight line between point A and point B when you're talking about assessment scores. And another thing that I haven't yet prepared holistically, but we could definitely look at, is the Maine Integrated Youth Health Survey, which does ask students some questions around like having a trusted adult at school, et cetera. And there is pretty good longitudinal data. I think it's only done every other year, but we have that data as well that we could look into a little bit more to see if there are specific trends in those areas.
One more thing, maybe it's an idea too, but so each kid gets one Sunday a year, and don't want to discount that like that. It should be everybody. Possibly if there is a situation for certain kids, maybe a second one for, you know, if it's directed and what have you. But that's not my overall point. But Sundays also, I understand, includes group activities that, for the older ages, bring other kids into their Sundays. So a little concerned about a couple of things. One, disruption if a kid is joining other kids' Sundays. And then, you know, the peer pressure of who didn't get invited, who didn't, as the kids get older. And could that have a negative effect of that type of activity there? So,
I think those, I'll turn that one over to resiliency coordinators.
You know, and the 3rd through 5th grade level, that starts happening, right, as they're getting towards middle school. And, you know, when we go and, when I go in and present about some days at the beginning of the school year, we definitely talk about, like, we want to be kind, we want to be inclusive, we want to make sure that we're including as many people as possible, but there's also that piece of sometimes a kid just really wants to see that friend they don't see all the time. And so making sure that we're not limiting them, and not everybody wants to do it with their whole class. Maybe they're a little more introverted, maybe they don't want to be the center of attention. And there are times, like, we try to really, like, keep an eye on those things to make sure, you know, for example, like, if there's a bunch of kids that all invite each other to something that's pretty similar, we'll combine those some days and they all kind of get to celebrate that together so that those kids don't get pulled out on 5 or 6 different days. The other piece, like, we are called resiliency coordinators, and while sometimes some days, they can also build resilience, right? And that we understand that maybe the whole class didn't get invited to that, or I didn't get invited to that this time, and that's okay. But we always try to make sure if we ever catch something that seems to be like, ooh, that's not kind, there's like specifically someone being excluded, maybe purposely, there's another opportunity for us to have a conversation with a kid. So there's so many different things that some days can bring to light and allow for teachable moments. There's so many different opportunities for that. And sometimes, yeah, like sometimes feelings can get hurt, but that's also part of life. And it's ways for us to teach and build resilience in those things. Like, I see a bounce house outside. That's not fair. I don't get to go out in the bounce house. Our kids have really built resilience around that. Like, they see it and they know that it's not there someday, and that's okay. And so it's another learning opportunity. And again, we do try to keep an eye on those things, and we always celebrate being inclusive. And so I don't know if that answers your question totally, but.
And a lifelong lesson I've always had ingrained in me is life is unfair, and it's every year, every month, every day. So just.
And I think, you know, in that point about the building resilience and understanding that piece, our teenagers today experience something that none of us in this room had to experience. When we weren't invited to a certain event or at something with a bunch of friends, we never saw the rundown online. Our kids today, and as adults, if you see families vacationing together or at something, or a friend, like, where were we? That is something that we have to work hard for our kids to understand. And I think this is also part of that piece, because I definitely can see how it would affect one of my children different than the other as they grow older. And we have to prepare them for that piece, because it's hard.
Can I also add that in response to School Board Member Roach, with all of my kids going through the school, like, they've come home and been like, oh, so-and-so had the bounce house today, and that was their someday. And I feel like most kids are excited for the other kids in their class. They don't feel excluded. They're like, it was Tommy's someday today, and he got to do this. And sometimes they say, oh, we had an ice cream party because it was so-and-so's. And sometimes they just go off, like my youngest is a very much an introverted human being, as much as he denies it, and always had the smaller someday, you know, where he was like one friend. So, and there was never any resentment between his friends, or because sometimes one friend would go with that person and the next time it was someone else. There was never like, I can't speak for everybody, but I know with the groups of people that I talk to that they've never said like, Jimmy was really sad that he wasn't invited, you know, so I think I've seen more about kids being excited for their classmates when it's their someday, whether they were invited or not, so.
Another thing I'll just add is that I know there's another kind of pro-social life skill that's taught. If you leave during a part of the class and you miss this activity in math or whatever, it's a skill to be able to come back and then say to your peer, hey, can you explain this problem? Or to see, okay, this is what I need to make sure that I catch up on to kind of get back to where the rest of the class is in the event that it is kind of a smaller leave and come back situation.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item number 10, that is the board subcommittee minutes and meetings. The Policy and Personnel Committee, next meeting is November 12th at 5:30. The Finance and Infrastructure Committee meeting was held this afternoon at 4:30. And the Curriculum Committee, their next meeting is October 27th at 4:30. Item 11, there is no old business tonight. Item 12, under new business, we do have one item for new hires. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor?
School Board Member Truman?
Oh, I move we approve those listed in the stipend section and issue a stipend contract for the 2025-26 school year.
Thank you. Motion has been made by School Board Member Truman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by School Board Member Richards. Any discussion on the item? Okay, roll call vote. School Board Member Warnoff?
Yes.
School Board Member Preble?
Yes.
School Board Member Richards?
Yes.
School Board Member Roach?
Yes.
School Board Member Kidder?
Yes.
School Board Member Truman?
Yes.
And School Board Member Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Okay, moving on to item B, that is resignations. There are no resignations this evening. Item C is a building update. School Superintendent Ray?
Kind of already talked about that piece. See you next Wednesday, 2 p.m.
All right, thank you very much. Item D is an enrollment update.
We are getting very close to certifying the October 1 enrollment reports. I'm trying to bring that up because it won't open. And it wants a password now, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm just going to go to my drive. But off the top of my head, I think we're 890 students at the elementary level in that range. The number for Thornton Academy is going to be approximately 890 students. You're going to see that my biggest concerns from this page, and again, don't have this open in front of me, so let me go to what I do on this computer, is that overall, we are down 49 students from a year prior. Now, we know the reasons why, but that is, and with 38 of that being ELL students, we are going to see a hit on subsidy in those areas. So we need to be prepared for that. Now, they smooth that out over 2 years, but that is something that we spoke about it when we had a large increase about how there was no ramp-up money there. It came, and that it was going to fall off the table and smooth out a little bit. So just something that we have to be knowledgeable about as we head into the budget season.
School Board Member Roach?
Is the blue link working? The blue link did pop up here, but it's
just not popping up on my iPad. Wants me to log in, and
right.
I'd have to remember a password.
Any other questions or comments? Great, thank you. All right, moving on to item E, that is a professional development memo. Is there a, yep.
I just wanted to share an informational memo regarding our professional development day that took place on October 10th. I know it can be a disruption to families or a welcome four-day weekend, depending on what age your kids are and who's responsible for them. But our pre-K got up to speed on Linkit training, as well as a presentation by Fairfield's resiliency coordinator around trauma-informed practices. We had a really exciting day with two different sessions, one K2 and one 3-5 with Graham Fletcher. You would have thought that Taylor Swift was in front of our staff because he's a pretty well-renowned author in fact fluency for mathematics, and there were some books signed. We also had our K2 teachers have some time to discuss curricular pilots in ELA and kind of learn from those teachers that are piloting. Our special ed director, Jessica Clark, provided a de-escalation training for staff in, we weren't able to fit 3-5 in, so we're rescheduling that at a later time, but one session for our pre-K through 2 staff and another session for our 6-8 staff. And then our middle school had a plethora of different choices that were tailored to different content areas and allowed for some choice for different staff members to attend different sessions. Their staff leadership team is the one that designed and developed that day for staff so that there would be a little bit more choice. And then we had another exciting opportunity to collaborate with 7 neighboring districts to offer unified arts specific programming, which allowed guidance counselors, art teachers, PE teachers, et cetera, to get together to have programming that is a little bit more designed for those folks. Oftentimes, they're kind of the outskirts of that planning and don't necessarily get the type of programming. And I just want to give a shout out to our middle school art teacher, Castine Matthews, who offered to facilitate the art teachers. And she had about 44 art teachers in York and Cumberland County up in Portland and facilitated some collaborative time, a visit to 2 galleries, to the Portland Museum of Art with a program held there, and an opportunity to visit Maine College of Art and Design. I think I'm saying that right. And so really appreciate her taking the lead in that regional opportunities so that our staff could then count on staff from other area districts to facilitate other content areas.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments for Megan regarding this? Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to item F, that is the second reading of the policies. Is there a motion? School Board Member Johnston?
Thank you. I move we approve the second reading of policies JE, student attendance, JKAA, use of physical restraint and seclusion, JKAA-R, procedures on physical restraint and seclusion, JICIA, weapons, violence, and school safety, JLCD, administration of medication to students, and BB, school board legal status.
Great, thank you. There has been a motion made by School Board Member Johnston. Is there a second?
Second.
School Board Member Truman? Any comments or discussion on the items? School Board Member Roach?
Maybe I missed it, but is there anything in the policies on the physical restraints that when staff is supposed to get that training? It just came up in the presentation by Meg just now of certain schools that had it, but is there a set, beginning of the school year before the school starts, or?
So all staff are informed through mandatory trainings at the beginning of the year, as well as a policy update that I gave to all staff at each school in the beginning of the school year in terms of like umbrella policies and procedures around restraint and seclusion. There's then a more specialized 2-day, I think it's 2 6-hour days, and then the refresher training, I think, is 2 3-hour sessions, something like that, close to that. That has to be done annually for staff that are either elect to be trained in that or staff that are working in programs in which that may be a more frequent occurrence. So there's not all of our staff are trained in proper restraint methods. However, all staff are trained in when and how they need to ask for help or when they can or cannot interfere physically with students legally, if that makes sense.
Anything else? Anyone else, any questions or comments? Okay, roll call vote. School Board Member Warnoff?
Yes.
School Board Member Preble?
Yes.
School Board Member Roach?
Yes.
School Board Member Richards?
Yes.
School Board Member Kidder?
Yes.
And School Board Member Johnston? And oh, I'm reading off my sheet. Your names got deleted on it. School Board Member Truman?
Yes.
And School Board Member Johnston?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0. All right, moving on to item 13, other information. Any school board members with anything they wish to share?
Hi, Madam Mayor.
School Board Member Preble?
I just wanted to take a second to plug something that was brought to my attention. Seal Rock Healthcare in Saco, 88 Harbor Drive, is hosting a Happy Halloween. They're looking for children to come into the community so they can go trick-or-treating with our residents. So that is October 29th from 3:30 to 4:45 p.m. It's their annual trick-or-treating event. And it will go through both the inn, which is assisted living, and through Seal Rock itself, which is short-term stay and long-term care. Our residents are diligently filling trick-or-treating bags for the children, and they are very excited to hand them out. So if you are willing and able to come at that point, I just wanted to point that out for families out there. Candy for the kids, intergenerational activity is a great way to involve kids and older adults, so just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
What was the time on that?
It is 3:30 to 4:45. I personally will be grabbing my 2 children who are going to be dinosaurs and hopefully get them to go through, so all the welcome.
Yep, that is October 29th. Anyone else?
Just want to add that congratulations on your first place win on Sunday with the pie eating contest.
That was the best day ever.
It was the best day ever. It was great.
I was just going to give a shout out to all of the teachers and the staff. Pumpkin Harvest Fest this year was bigger and better, keeps getting bigger and better every year. To be able to still walk down the row of pumpkins and see they were amazing this year, what the kids put into their pumpkins. So I want to thank the teachers and all of the staff that helped with that, had it all set up. And then, of course, my pie eating contest mate, Principal Mears, he was a great neighbor up there on the table with me. We had a blast. The community was excited. It was a huge crowd, and we just had a really, really great day. And to see the kids dressed up in their costumes, and we had a beautiful day for it, too. So again, just thanks for all the teachers for your inclusion and your incorporation with Saco Main Street and getting the kids in. And they were so proud to see their pumpkins out there and showing their family and friends. So thank you all.
I did want
Yeah.
to mention with TA here that I briefly was there, but the homecoming event
The vendor truck night.
was like huge family friendly, huge. And so that was really nice to see in the parking lot, totally full. Thanks.
It was. Friday night was, I actually did 3 events in 3 hours. We had from seniors to seniors is what I like to call it. I was at the seniority dinner, the hoedown with the seniority program with rec, and then I was at TA, stopped by, got a bite to eat with the seniors at TA, and then the spooky spectacular haunted house for the adults at the Dyer Library. So yeah, it was a really, really community fun-filled weekend. Okay, there is no executive session this evening, and moving on to item 15 is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made by School Board Member Truman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by School Board Member Preble. Roll call vote, School Board Member Warnoff,
Yes.
School Board Member Preble,
Yes.
School Board Member Richards.
Yes.
School Board Member Roach.
Skulls and skeletons can mean peace. Yes.
School Board Member Kidder.
You're always such a tough act to follow. Yes.
Yes.
School Board Member Truman.
Yes.
And School Board Member Johnston. Motion passes 7, oh, go ahead, Beth.
There we go.
Oh.
Yes,
Thank you.
sorry.
Motion passes 7-0 to adjourn at 6 PM exactly. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.